The invention of polyurethane skateboard wheels in the early 1970s suddenly made jumps and tight cornering possible, because these wheels had a better grip than the old metal or ceramic versions. These new wheels were more durable and the shock absorption was greatly improved. Roll on. Skateboard wheels come in different sizes, hardness, colours and graphic designs. There are many practical and aesthetic considerations, all depending on the skater's style and preference. To make skateboard wheels, the first step is to design and create the mould. The computer software guides the machine's cutting tools, shaping a solid aluminium puck into one half of the wheel mould. Next, the other half of the mould is created, as the computerized tooling sculpts another puck that will marry with the first to create the final complete mould. Not all of the wheel moulds consist of two parts. These are made from one piece of aluminium and have a pin in the centre to form a bearing cavity. Then dispensed into the wheel moulds is liquid polyurethane, which begins to solidify. To complete the curing process, the polyurethane-filled moulds are loaded into an oven and are baked at 115 degrees Celsius for 40 minutes. The baking process also ensures that any bubbles in the polyurethane rise and are diffused, leaving a solid mass with no weak spots. The pins are removed from the moulds, and it's then on to the next station. Here, a blast of compressed air around the wheels pops them out of the moulds. As seen here, the wheels have a high rebound, an indication that the skateboard wheel will roll easily with very little drag. To ensure the polyurethane has cured to the correct hardness, a durometer gauge is used to test a sample wheel. If the sample is sufficiently hard, the batch is ready for the next step. Each wheel is then placed into a lathe, where it's spun while a cutting tool contours the edge to a smoother, more rounded profile. To give the skateboard wheels a visual impact, a graphic design is added to each one. First, a film negative is printed of the chosen images. This negative is used to produce a printing plate. Inside a UV light chamber, the film negative is placed on top of a piece of metal that's been coated with a light-sensitive emulsion. Closing the lid and activating the UV light triggers a photochemical reaction that transfers the image from the negative to the plate. Here you can see the image now very faintly on the printing plate. Next, a solution is applied that removes the unexposed emulsion and in the process etches the image into the metal plate. The chemicals are then rinsed off. Drying the plate reveals the etched-in artwork. A magnetized ink dispenser is then placed over the image, and both are then installed into a pad printing machine. Individual skateboard wheels are placed onto posts, which then travel into the printing machine. The ink dispenser deposits ink on the printing plate. Then a silicon pad picks up the inked image and stamps it onto the skateboard wheel. A sample wheel is then clamped into a testing device, which will establish the rebound. A metal ball is dropped on the wheel, and how high it bounces or rebounds is measured. Again, the higher, the better. These skateboard wheels have been cleared for shipping, so they're sent to be packed. It's taken about 3 days to make these skateboard wheels. Now, I just need to replace the ones I broke on my last ride. Then, I'll be ready to roll. Once me broken leg is healed, that is. Galaktobureko and Baklava are traditional Greek desserts, although several European and Middle Eastern countries have versions of baklava. Most consist of phyllo pastry, filled with nuts drenched in honey or syrup. Galaktobureko is phyllo filled with custard and coated with sweet syrup. Nice. This variety of baklava, called Burma, isn't made with phyllo dough like classic baklava, but with kataifi, shredded wheat dough. It contains whole pistachios, not pistachio powder like classic phyllo baklava. First, granulated sugar is poured over the pistachio kernels. Rose water is then sprinkled over them, although this ingredient is optional. Added next is syrup made with sugar, water, cinnamon and nutmeg, and lemon, which prevents the sugar from later crystallizing. The kernels are mixed to ensure they're thoroughly coated. The kataifi is made from all-purpose flour, milk and water. A section of the dough is laid out, then a handful of the pistachio filling is placed in a line down the middle. For a Burma loaf this size, the filling is about 2.5 centimeters wide and high. The end of the dough is closed, and it's then rolled at an angle, tightly encasing the filling. Finally, the opposite end is closed. The pastry and pistachio mixture is left to air dry for 24 hours. This is to make sure the dough maintains its rolled shape. Unlike classic baklava, which is baked, Burma is fried, and the risk of burning the pistachios makes this the most technically challenging type of baklava to make. The loaves are fried for 3 minutes in oil at 176 degrees Celsius and are turned once a minute. They're then set aside for half an hour to allow the oil to drain. Next, warm caramelized sugar is poured over the loaves, which are left to soak for 20 minutes. The sugar to water ratio and the boiling time of the caramelized sugar have to be just right. Otherwise, it will either become too hard or too gooey when it cools. After letting the excess drain off, the loaves are left to rest for 3 hours. Each loaf is then rolled to flatten out the bumps and cut into equal pieces. And the beauty of Burma is that once opened, you don't have to wolf it down all in one sitting, as it stays fresh for about 2 weeks. Not that I'll be telling anyone in my household. Oh no, I'll eat it all in one go. The process to make Galaktobureko custard begins with 2 ingredients, milk and semolina. After bringing the milk to a boil, the semolina is gradually added while whisking and lowering the temperature. Once the mixture thickens, it's set aside to cool. In a separate bowl, eggs are whisked. Vanilla is added, along with lemon or orange rind. Other possibilities are orange blossom or rosewater extract. The ingredients are transferred to a mixer, where sugar and butter are added, then the semolina and milk mixture. It's critical for this mixture to be cool, so that it doesn't cook the eggs. Once everything is thoroughly blended, the Galaktobureko custard is finished. Next, 24 parchment-thin sheets of phyllo dough are stacked and then cut into square pieces. A scoop of custard is placed into the center of each square. The traditional Greek way is to roll the squares or bake a large Galaktobureko in a pan and then cut it into sections. However, this chef has chosen to fold over each square to make Lebanese-style triangles. Clarified butter is poured over the top, butter that's been heated to separate out the solids, just leaving the fat. The pastries are then baked for 45 minutes at 163 degrees Celsius. And because of the clarified butter, they come out with a shine to their golden baked tops. The same syrup that was used for the baklava, sugar, water, cinnamon, nutmeg and lemon, is then generously drizzled over the Galaktoburekos. Finally, a sprinkle of cinnamon for traditional flavour and some crushed pistachios. Thank you. I'll have that after me baklava.